Hello, can everyone hear me? Yep. I guess yes. Right, let me turn off the sounds so people can't hear those little bleeps. This was supposed to be a really casual workshop, but there's been like 120 people registered, so we'll see how it goes. Also, my internet might drop off, which is really, really helpful. So if that happens, I'll be back on. It's just that is happening. So just to be aware of that. Right, how do I enable screen sharing? Okay, we'll leave it a couple of minutes just to let other people come in. Any questions off the bat of what you definitely want to see? I was just going to run through like the general setup, how we do our profiles, how we do our tutorial complete stuff, how people get messages, things like that. Yeah, it's a conception. I'll do it, so it'll be fine because I'll be showing my screen around. I won't be. Actually, do I need to do it as a separate screen? Oops. Let me just stop this a sec. And then try it again. Thing is, it's too big. Yeah, I'll be talking about some of the Airtable stuff. It's all linked, so that should be fine. And yeah, people can ask questions during. Let me do it as. Let me see if I can do this. Is that going to be big enough? The login sign up part and how to set it up on Webflow. Interesting, I could build full apps this way. Makerpad is a full app, I guess, so that's how I'll show it off. Yeah, I wonder, can you see this, my main screen, my Webflow screen, well enough? Is it big enough? Yes, this is recording. Yep, all big enough. Cool. Sweet. Well, I guess I'll just start. Makerpad is built with Webflow as our website, which is like here. You can see all the little different parts, and I don't do it how you're supposed to do it because I've got things like div block 518. I don't name everything properly, so I know there'll be Webflow people out there who hate that, but that's just what works for me and works for us. I can't think of that many names, and we change it quite a lot, so that's why it's sort of at that stage. But essentially, we have Webflow as our site. Then we have things like our buttons, which take you to sign-up pages. Some things are hidden based on our membership levels. So you'll see here this says it's like hiding attributes. So we use MemberStack for our sign up and sign in. I'm signed in, so you'll be able to see like a membership here, and I'll give you like how to manage a membership and stuff like that. But that's how we manage our login and sign up fields. So a login will look like this. Email, password, login. I think a sign up goes straight to our pricing page. And then when you pick one of these, it'll pull it up for you to enter your details. So that's pretty straightforward. So some of the more advanced stuff is probably what you want to know. So this, for example, is a logged in view where you can see profile view stuff. So if I show you the Makerpad version, Webflow version, so you'll see here that actually on this page, there's a few different things. So this is like sign up now, get your newsletter type stuff. But actually with our attributes and using MemberStack, it only shows it to people who aren't logged in. The same with, I mean, this should still happen, so I need to change that. Oh no, I'm on the wrong tab. That would help. Yeah, so you'll see these two things are showing for logged in users, but actually this will also show for non-logged in users. So that's sort of across the site. We have these attributes with MemberStack where you hide things for certain levels of profiles. One cool thing that we have, which Webflow doesn't enable yet, is the multi-filter. So if I did job boards, no, let's do workflows and marketing growth, that'll filter the tabs based on what they are. So they've got the tools, the tutorials, and if we've got any stories that are related to those multiple filters. And to give an example of what this looks like in the back, a tutorial, it's probably a bit messy, but we have our naming. We're grouping them into different stages of getting started, build a business, and automate a work, which you'll see new features for shortly. So the types, this is the that filter view you just saw. So these are the types. We've called them tags here. I've called them types on the back because we already had a tags collection. We used to do it by role and then by use case, but I've combined everything to types, so I need to get rid of this at some point. We can tag who the person was, and then there's free content, paid content. We tag the companies in these, and then if they're premium, if they're visible or they're not visible. And these are all extra fields that used to happen, but now they don't. So that's sort of the level of what our tutorials look like. And as you can probably see, nothing is like really polished because I'm, like I said, figuring out as I go and just making things work for us. So if people are thinking of doing the same, I'll just encourage you to do whatever makes sense to you. So if we go, this is the filter list, and we use something called JetBoost. So JetBoost is like something that goes on top of your collection items, so your different filters, and then it basically runs you through exactly how to set it up. I can't even do a simpler explanation than JetBoost can. So go to jetboost.io and literally you can like set up type to search, which we also have. So if I typed in Airtable, it'll show us Airtable, and any tutorials to do with Airtable. JetBoost, sorry. I'll put the link in the chat as well. So this, yeah, it's actually a collection item of the types. And yeah, it basically just filters it by what company has that type in it, and what tutorial has that type in it, and what story has that type in it. So we sort of filter by tags using JetBoost. Yeah, JetBoost is a third-party extension that runs you through how to set up the multi-filters. And And yeah, we've got the type of search stuff here, which is also JetBoost. You can see the naming there is part of how they do it. So yeah, it's really simple, and we love using it. So you can just filter through all sorts of stuff. Yeah, exactly, Dan. It literally tells you step by step how to set it up. It's the easiest thing in the world. I would highly recommend it if that's what you're trying to do. So we've got like our users here. Again, we've got filter by tags or filter by company. So if you're trying to browse, you can do, where's Tom? There he is. If you're trying to figure out, okay, who's good at Share Tribe, and then Mike comes up here. So we've got different ways to filter users too, which is done the exact same way. A combination of JetBoost, search field here, and the tags. Like super simple, really easy. And we've got the types and stuff as well. Posts, we do something similar. So these are all the posts that people post on Makerpad. And you can see here the different types. Article. So all the articles, I've got to make this page a bit nicer because it doesn't quite work very well. So if I just want to see what are tutorials, and here are all the tutorials people are posting, podcast, here's all the podcasts, and things like that. So you can see that this filtering system works across a bunch of things in Makerpad really, really simply. And yeah, we use it for everything. So now, I guess we can show you some of the other advanced stuff. So if I go to my profile, you'll be able to see there's a bunch of things going on here, of course, like the basic stuff, how I can enter my Twitter stuff. These are those types I was talking about, so the things you can filter by. These are all the tools I use. So they're also in a list like here, tools used, tutorials I'm tagged in. These are my featured posts. These are all my posts. And then there's tutorials completed. So you can go through tutorials and say, mark is complete. And then if you want to hire me, you enter your stuff here. And you can also recommend this user. So I'll sort of just show you how we do a bunch of these things. I can just show you the back of it as well, which is pretty simple. I say pretty simple. I'm just familiar with it because I built it. So it may be not so simple from what you look at it. So here's the back of it. The Hire Me button is just takes you to a scroll point, which is a section of here. This is just a form block, and we've got some hidden, like you just basically type in a hidden field of email to be able to see, to be able to pull that through when you go through the form. These are just different collection items, collection lists. Again, this is the collection list of the tools, and these are just tabs then and filtered by tutorial, tools, etc. This recommend a user is also a form. So this is actually a form block that pulls in the data of, okay, who is the user? They've got to be logged in basically to recommend this user. So how do they, you pull that through in this embed, and then I'll show you how that happens on the back. So let's jump into that now, and I've tried to hide some fields to make sure I'm not sharing people's like emails, of course. So if we look at like Tom, you can see all his data's here. There's a Webflow ID attached to it, so when someone signs up, they get populated here with different things and a Webflow ID, and then they'll be prompted to go to their edit profile. And some people do keep trying to edit their profile if they haven't set one up yet. So you've got to set one up, and then you can edit your data here. So I could do this, and then it should take me through to a different, like it should pull through that information. So you'll see here now that just updated my whole row of that. It goes straight to Milton Keynes. It shows that I've updated it. So yeah, it pulls through all that. So that is a Zap that we have here, which is called Editing Your Profile. If it loads, so form submission and Webflow, which is that edit profile, that then finds the record in the profiles, and then it will update that record, and then it'll go and update that live item in Webflow. So that's how you see it all. So that technically should, in theory, yeah, Milton Keynes is now, that's changed from London to Milton Keynes. So that's how it works on the back end, is that Zap, is that edit profile. Now, if I wanted to mark a tutorial as completed, so I can go to any tutorial, let's go to this one. You'll see the tools used, the categories are the same thing there. So this is like a mark as complete. So that is exactly the same as I'll recommend this user feature. It's a form block that pulls through hidden data in the back. So this is marked as complete, but actually it'll always tell you mark as complete. So you can submit it multiple times, but that will just add it multiple times. So it's not perfect, but it definitely helps us do some stuff. And that really should show up straight away on my profile. If I go to, yeah, so that then is added to the bottom of my page of these. That's the tutorial I've completed. So that Zap is a bit more complicated, and it starts off with that form submission of tutorial completion. I click that and the data gets pulled through the back in the HTML embed. Then you find the record in this. So it finds my profile here based on my email that it's pulled through in the hidden bit. Sorry, so members, subs stored in MemberStack, but profile stored in Airtable. I'm not actually putting any profile information from MemberStack for this. This is just Webflow and Airtable talking to each other. This is not really MemberStack. It just, MemberStack hides those buttons or forms so people can't submit things if you're not logged in and that sort of stuff. But what you can do is when you update your profile or you update something, you're going to have that field in MemberStack, which then says, in MemberStack, Ben's profile has all of these fields attributed to it. And I do need to do that at some point so that everyone's data is synced everywhere, but this was just a way to get this working. So sorry, you have the form submission. I've marked that as complete. It goes through, you find the record, in here. So it finds this profile. And then it will create a record in tutorials complete. So you'll see that here. It basically pulls in my name. It does a lookup from that where it's finding my profile. It'll pull in my reference ID, which is in this field here. And then it pulls in which tutorial it was, the name, and the tutorial CMS ID for that tutorial. So once it's done that, it then has to re-find this profile again. So it refines the user email, and this is a key step because once it's found the first one, it's found it before another tutorial was added. They may sound a bit confusing. I'm not sure if I'm doing this justice. So you have to find that tutorial. You have to find that user again, and then once you've found that user, I use a custom webhook. So this is a difficult thing for us to do, and it's basically a way to use the API key to add the Webflow ID. But what you've got to do is have this tutorial roll up. So each tutorial, you can see here, I've got a few which all have these different tutorial IDs. And then in the profiles, you'll see that actually the tutorials, this is a roll-up field. So this looks at the tutorials complete table and then looks at the tutorial ID to roll those up into one place, and array join values, and those go all together. So then that is a big long list of all the different IDs of each tutorial all rolled up into one place. And that's a key thing for how it gets pushed back to Webflow. Because if you just do one at a time, it'll overwrite whatever's currently in there. So you only ever have one. You can only ever have one tutorial in there. But if you do the roll up, you can add. I think it then basically overwrites that with an extra one. So it's a little bit complex, but hopefully you can sort of see how that works. It does that, and then I've just got send a private channel message to say Ben has completed this tutorial. So that's the exact same way that we do a bunch of things. So once you get that once, you'll see that on our, if I go to Notion, you can say I use this product. Again, that's a form that you click. It does the exact same process. Go through the form, find record, create a new record, find the record again, post it via the API to Webflow. And that then does the same thing. These are tools people have used. They get added, and then they go to the profile and get rolled up in that field. So they can easily be shown. So it's like a weird like feedback loop, but actually it all comes together pretty nicely. Took me a little while to figure that out, and we need to do a good tutorial on that. And I think maybe it might be more of an in-depth one, because there's quite a few moving parts. But yeah, once you get it once, it's like, oh well, I can do a lot of things here that are without code that make it feel really different. Yeah, I know lots of people would be definitely interested in that tutorial, so I've definitely got to do it at some point. The same with user recommendations. Who's recommended who? These are the posts. These are all the posts that people put out, and then that just links to their reference ID, which is here. So some of that is more simple. We've got a messages. We have a messages feature. What was that noise? We've got a messages feature on people's hire me this section. So when you fill this in, I've done an example one already. This is on my experts one, because I don't want to show data. So basically the email comes through of who the person was that is trying to set up, like who's trying to message that person. So that I did it me. And then who the person's name is, it pulls in like an email for the expert, and you can reference those, but obviously I'm not going to show you who they are and their emails. What the timeline is, what the budget was, what the project type was, what the details were, and that basically gets pulled through. But to stop people spamming us, because we unfortunately have had a bit of that, is we've got an approved section here. So for me to actually send this, I have to click. I'm not going to do it now, but I'll click approved there, and then it would go to our approved messages view. So that means if I can show you. So then when a message is approved, there's an automatic email sent to that expert to say, hey, you've got a project through Makerpad. Here's the budget. Here's the details. Here's their email. like go ahead and do it with them. So we've had that with a few different things of expert messages approved. We have that for when people try and become an expert on Makerpad. We've got to approve them. Some of these things are manual, some of them are very automatic. So we've got to keep some level of quality there. So that's some of the main parts of that. You can see that this is our sort of main Makerpad Zap. We've got quite a few running there. I'm not even sure if some of them are running. This one is a Zap alert when any Zap breaks, because unfortunately that does happen sometimes. Maybe it's someone who hasn't actually got a profile is trying to edit their profile, which they haven't created yet. So I've got like notifications on for that. And yeah, I think that's most of the complex stuff of how we do a lot of our things. So yeah, I'll take questions, then I can show you any things through that. Are you creating new reference IDs manually? So every tutorial has I've called it a text item ID to help with the naming, but essentially that is when a new tutorial is created, a Zap will then send back the CMS item. It's gonna, I think Webflow know that people want it now because they're doing extra stuff, and in each one you'll see that the item ID is actually shown at the bottom. So I'm just like pulling that in. It's not an ideal system just yet, but I think Webflow will, like, they'll let you have, they'll let you pull it in some way, I think, even if it's via an attribute or something. So that's what I think they'll do. Yeah, I appreciate that. There's a lot of different tools working together, but there's a main stack of Webflow, Airtable, Zapier, and MemberStack, and they all work quite well together. We don't have too many problems. I mean, I'll show you my Zap history if that's even. Yeah, so here we go. There's some, which means, so these are two tutorials completed, but actually the person who tried to do the tutorials completed hasn't actually got a profile set up. So I should have gone through and actually done, like, I'll basically reach out to them and say you should have a profile, then you'll be able to add your tutorials. But I don't think this Zap actually worked, like, came through and told me that it was broken. But I was on the phone, so maybe so. I'll check it out. And then we've got some filtered Zaps for different onboarding emails. But yeah, if there's any questions on some of these, I can see, what do you suggest for video? Are they CMS items? On ours, we use YouTube or Vimeo, and you just embed them. It's quite a manual process to do to upload the videos, and even sometimes the formatting with Webflow passing through data, it doesn't quite work. So some of those have been a bit difficult. Curious to hear some point of what plans Makerpad is on with Airtable and Zapier. Well, I'm actually on the team plan for Zapier, so I'll even show you. It literally restarted yesterday, so we get unlimited Zaps, and it looks like we've got 64 set up. The tasks are, we have up to 50,000, but it's like $125 a month. I think I went one plan up too much, but it allows me to then share this with the team so they can set up and do their own testing, Zaps and things like that. So we're probably paying too much for it right now, but it's yeah, I think Airtable, I can't remember what plan we're on, to be honest. I think it's probably I won't go into my account on this stream because that would be stupid. But it's not like an enterprise plan. It's not a huge plan. And Airtable's got like a 50,000 row limit, I think. So we're not even close to that, I don't think. We also have about 1 million bases, so that helps. What are the chief advantages of Webflow over WordPress? I just really dislike using WordPress. Webflow seems so much more custom. You can link things up to it so much easier. I like the control you can have on it. I think it's a big thing of preference as well. There's definitely a Webflow versus WordPress page out there, probably one written by Webflow. I think they're probably for different things, but like, I think when you start working with one over the other, you'll probably know which one you like. What's the limits of the number of members and the number of resources with your current stack? So we haven't really come across any limits yet. I think we could easily scale this to 10,000 a month people doing stuff on this. But yeah, I guess the tools we use, Webflow, Zapier, etc., they all want to scale with what people want to scale, what the people are using them to scale with. So I'm sure that they'll support us if we hit some limits that we need help with, or we need to move on to a new plan. But honestly, we don't know the limit yet. Steve, when a user signs up through MemberStack and pays automatically, how are you getting automating that the Webflow ID in order to assign them their individual page where they edit? We don't. You can, but we actually don't. Because profiles is such a new thing, and we want to make sure that everyone who has a profile like really wants a profile and really wants to like post to it and be engaged and everything else. So it's almost like a slow rollout. But essentially, if I can find it, we can have profiles, create a profile. So what we do is, when it loads, we do a form submission, create a record in Airtable, which would be here in this profile tab again. And then you create a live item in Webflow, and then you update the record in Airtable. So what you would do with MemberStack, you would basically change the trigger to be when a new member is created, create a record in Airtable, then create a live item in Webflow, then update the record in Airtable, and update the record in MemberStack. So it would just be, you change the first step and you add another one. So yeah, it's very easily done. I've just changed it so that people, when they go to a certain page, they go, okay, I want to create my profile now. And then we can go through and we can help onboard them and things like that. So that's how we do it. So that's helpful. Can you explain how you import CMS items with multi-reference tags into Webflow? Does it update automatically and change the record in Airtable? If I think, Caleb, can you maybe explain that a bit more? So the multiple reference CMS items, that's what the roll-up is. So that's why when I explained about having this as the roll-up field. So the individual item ID for each tutorial comes through here, and then it gets rolled up using the roll-up feature with tutorial IDs, and you put it all together. And then from there, you have this custom API request that pulls in and pushes all that roll-up field to your, like the field that is the multi-reference field in your CMS item. Bit of a long-winded thing to explain, so we need to do a good tutorial on it, and I think maybe I'm not the best person to try and explain that. But yeah, that's how it's done. It's like a roll-up, and then you push it through, and a few people have been doing that recently, so there's like more and more things happening there. Yeah, sorry, there's like questions in chat and questions in questions. Let me, sorry, 2 seconds. So thanks for the interested to hear how you test things with Webflow, MemberStack, Zapier. It may seem scary to push things live, But when we did the profiles, for example, I set it live. People don't necessarily discover pages unless you tell them where it is. So I put the profiles live, sent it out to like a few people. They started playing with it, and I could see on my Zap task history, oh shit, things are going wrong. Time to fix this, and then do some fixing, invite more people. I don't really do much on the staging because if we've got some plugins or MemberStack and things, it doesn't really work on the staging plan. So I'm not too worried. Our community are very no coder, so they're all used to things happening. Things like bugs happen on big websites too. So everyone's forgiving and everything's backed up somewhere, so everything can be fixed. So I don't really worry about that. Colleen, yeah, that's the same as Caleb. It's that tutorial roll up, right? I think that's the answer. What is the chief benefit of using MemberStack? Is it only for charging new members, or does it do more? It allows you to hide content and show content to certain people. So, for instance, if someone went onto my page now, they wouldn't be able to see submit or submit a post. They'd see something different. So you can show those different levels of things for logged in members, logged out members. And then also you can have different tiered plans. So if you had like basic, standard, and enterprise, you could show different things based on the different tier they're at. So that is one of the big benefits, I think. It's just been super helpful for us. Pretty easy. There's a few others up there like MemberSpace, which are very easy to just implement on these types of sites. So I'd check them out and see which ones you think are worth looking into, because they do work on different types. I'm just looking around. So any other questions about any of the other things that we do? I think that's most of it, but I think yeah, you might know more than me. In terms of putting profile data from Airtable to Webflow, I presume you've created a single profile page template thing in Webflow, set up to send username from the URL to Airtable. So that is actually a bit of an annoying thing at the moment, where so our users, if I do me, so it's the slug, so it just says user and then slug. That's automatically populated by Webflow. But what I would like to do is have a button that says, a button on here that just says my profile, and I click it and goes to user/my slug. So I'm trying to do that. Trying to do that at some point soon. I'm just trying to set up something quickly. Sorry, Tom is the workshop king, not me. Okay, so got another one. A couple of questions. How did you make membership systems work back in the days when MemberStack was not out yet, like during the Nucode days? I created a password protected page in Webflow, and I sent people to a type form to accept a payment through that, and then just emailed each person and said, here's the password for your password protected page. And that was literally it. So very simple. There wasn't real membership packages like subscriptions or anything, but what you could do is easily create those product pages, those products in Stripe as like a subscription, and link those separately, and then send a password. So I would probably do that now if I was doing it that way. Can you change membership levels in MemberStack? MemberStack change charges a few for each payment processes. To be honest, I'm not sure on the MemberStack questions too much. It's probably best to go and ping the team. They're really, really helpful to respond. So I would check them out. They are at memberstack.io. So yeah, I'll check them out for any questions there, because I'm just going to butcher any answer about that. Raymar, what will you do when you reach Webflow CMS limits? I'll be messaging Vlad and hoping that he'll extend them for me. To be honest, no, we haven't hit them already. And I don't know, I think we're probably quite a way off, actually. I think people assume that we've got way more than we have, like items, but I try and clean up and delete things as we go. But really, I think what would be good, what I think platforms are looking for are who are the people using their own platforms at that high level of like 10,000 things, or like pushing the platform to the limit. And then also thinking, right, how do we help enable them scale more? So I was chatting to Bubble earlier today, who they scale some of their platform because of users trying to use it so much. They want the users to use it that much and be successful. So I imagine that Webflow is definitely looking and thinking about those things. So I wouldn't, I'm not too worried until we get there. And I think Webflow will be very happy when we do to accommodate whatever's next. Do you ever look at Integromat instead of Zapier? No, not really. Zapier it was one of the first ones I used. It was super simple. I've used it. It's got a ton of integrations. I have used Integromat for different things, so like batch processing, updating CMS items and things like that. But Zapier is very reliable for what I use it for here. And also, as much as people know that we see lots of different tools, I try not to use too many tools in conjunction with each other. I'm trying to just have a few that we know really well and can do a lot of things. I don't want to have 7 tools across all sorts of things that we've got to provide logins and go here, go there, etc. So we just try and keep it simple. What do you suggest for video? I said before, we use YouTube or Vimeo. That's what I suggest. Loom is great for like recording your screen and sending it on to people. You can just put unlisted YouTube links, I think. And we have private content in each tutorial, like CMS, so that's the bit we hide in MemberStack. So that's how we do it. All right. Well, I've been talking for quite a while. If there's any final questions, let me know. If not, I'll cut it there, guys. You can. I think you've seen the magic stuff that makes Makerpad have some special extras. But yeah, I don't know what else you'd want to see, really. So I'll probably leave it there if there's no more questions, and speak to you all, Twitter, Slack, wherever. Thanks all for coming. Cheers, 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 cheers. Thank you all.